evaluate the definite integral. Here we have the cosine of x times the sine of the quantity sine of x dx with a lower bound of 0 and an upper bound of pi over 2. So the first thing we need to do is identify what we're going to substitute for u. In this problem, we're going to let u equal the sine of x. Okay, so now let's determine what is the derivative of both sides of this equation. So we have du, which is going to equal the derivative of the sine of x, which is the cosine of x, dx. Okay, so you can see that's within the original problem. We have the cosine of x dx, so we now know what we can substitute for du and cosine of x dx. So now let's go ahead and rewrite this problem. So we know again that our lower limit is 0, our upper limit is pi over 2, and then we have the sine of the sine of x times the cosine of x dx. And now let's go ahead and use our substitution. So we know that the sine of x is u, so we have the sine of u times, well, the cosine of x dx is equal to du. And now we need to confirm our upper and lower limits according to our u substitution. So we have u, which is equal to the sine of x. So we have u, which is equal to the sine of pi over 2, which is the sine of 90 degrees. So the sine of 90 degrees is going to give us 1. And then u is going to equal the sine of 0. So if we want to find the sine of 0 degrees, well, that's going to give us 0. So now let's go ahead and then evaluate. So our upper bound now is going to be 1, our lower bound is 0, and then we want to find the antiderivative of the sine of u du. So what is the antiderivative of the sine of u? Well, we know that that's negative cosine of u. So we have negative cosine of u with a lower bound of 0 and an upper bound of 1. So let's go ahead and factor out the negative. And so we have the cosine of 1 minus the cosine of 0. And so what do we know about the cosine of 1? And what do we know about the cosine of 0? Well, we know the cosine of 0 is equal to 1. So therefore, we're going to have negative times the cosine of 1 minus 1. And then if we distribute the negative sign, we're going to get negative cosine of 1 plus 1. Or we can rewrite this as 1 minus the cosine of 1. And therefore, there is our result.